welcome back to Nothing New. So what I'm going to be doing today is a bit of brake work. Obviously back on the 68. There is a switch in the engine bay on the other side of the firewall. So it's actually down on the other side of the firewall engine bay side that all of the brake lines meet at this junction, I guess you might say. So it's actually a junction with a switch inside it. Now that switch activates this light here. A lot of people think that that light is for the handbrake, emergency brake, but it's actually not. It's for it's an emergency brake warning light, I think they call it. I could be wrong there, but I think it's that. Now basically what it does, or what it means, is that when you're driving along and that light comes on, or if it is on constantly, it means that that switch is not closed off, meaning that there is not enough pressure in the brake lines or in the system to turn that switch off. So it is a warning light to let you know to check your brakes. Now let's see, I'm going to try to start it. Now I did another video on another topic, but I did mention that I got this light working, and I thought I did, but when I say got the light working, ideally what happens is when you turn the car on, initially that light will flash on, and then as soon as you let go of the key and it's in that run position, it'll turn off, and it should stay off constantly, basically all the time, unless there's obviously an issue with the brakes. So let's just see. Now what's happening for me at the moment is that sometimes it comes on and then sometimes it doesn't. So I've done a bit of reading and research, and there's a bit of a trick to really getting it to stay off, essentially. So let's just see if it actually stays on for the video. It might not. Let's give it a go. I'll make sure she's out of gear. Yep. Oh, there we go. So you can see it's actually got brake on it. And initially that should turn off straight away as soon as the key's in the run position. Try it again. Brake a couple of times. Try it again. No, well look, it's actually working for the purpose of the video, so that's ideal. But initially, like I said, turn the key on to start the car, the light will flash on and then it'll turn off, then you're right. Well, there's a couple of things. It could be the switch, and you can actually buy a switch kit. But when you put the switch kit in order to, generally what happens, once you've messed with it, I guess, or you've put a new kit through it, or you've bled the brakes, that light most of the time stays on, and it causes people grief. So they normally just disconnect it from the back and leave it off. Now the trick that I have heard, or it's not so much a trick, but it's more of a method, and I'm not sure if this works because I haven't tried it yet, but that's what we're going to do throughout this video. I've gone through these brakes and bled them, to make sure the brakes are good and they work, and they work all right. They do feel a bit hard, is in that you push your foot on the brake pedal, and it does feel like you've got to push hard to stop it. Now when I first bought this truck, brakes were really good. So I'm thinking that it is due to this I guess the reason for this light coming on. Now okay, so the method is bleed the master cylinder. Now I hear that is the trick. Bleed the master cylinder. So I'm going to put I've got a master cylinder bleeding kit, which basically you run the lines back into the reservoir, and then you push your foot on the brake pedal until obviously there's no air left in those lines in the master cylinder. Then connect up your two front and rear lines. Then obviously bleed as per normal. Now the light was potentially still going to stay on. The trick to that, I believe, is push hard down on the brake pedal once you've done all that. And when I say that, I mean just smash your foot on the brake pedal, like hard, bang. So to give it a bit of a good I guess jerk or a good hard compression on the brake lines, or on that switch, I should say. So that's what I've been told is the trick to I guess making that light not illuminate once you've done all of that procedure. So bleed the master cylinder, then bleed your brakes. The light's still on, then smash that brake pedal a couple of times. It might take a few goes, I'm not sure, we'll see. But let's have a crack. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to get a few tools out, and I'm going to start bleeding this master cylinder, and we'll go from there. Okay, here we are. I've just bled the master cylinder, so you can see how you do this. Basically, look, I just bought a kit off eBay. They're super cheap. It comes with all these different fittings, various different fittings, and a couple of these clamps at the top. So basically, you screw in your fitting. You run one of these hoses back into the reservoir, and the other hose into front and rear reservoir, actually, essentially. So in both circuits. And you slowly pump that pedal until no air bubbles come out of the fluid. You just pump slowly, and you will eventually get no bubbles coming out of those black tubes. So essentially, it sucks through the fluid back out through those tubes, back into obviously into that reservoir. Now this actually didn't have that much air in it, so fingers crossed that we're doing the right thing here, and it's not actually the switch itself. So I don't really want to go and buy a new switch kit because well, I'm in Australia and they're actually quite expensive to buy. I think I can get them locally within Australia, but yeah, I don't really want to do that if I don't have to. So fingers crossed this works. All right, so after this is done, I'm going to pull all of this kit back off, put the brake lines back on. I actually did notice a little leak on this rear brake line on that fitting. It looks like someone's put another fitting on there, so I'm not sure why, but it was a little bit wet. It did have a little bit of brake fluid around it, so I'll make sure they're tight and they seal okay, and then I'll go ahead and bleed these brakes, and then we'll see how we go with that. All right, back soon. Okay. So I thought I'd show you my method of bleeding my brakes when I'm alone. This is nothing new, and it works most of the time, every time. So okay, so here's my method of bleeding the brakes when I'm flying solo. Basically, a bit of clear tube straight onto your nipple there, onto your bleeder. I have it long enough so I can actually see it from the brake pedal, which is obviously over there where that blue bottle is. Yeah, clear tube straight into an old water bottle or whatever you've got. Hole straight through the cap, a little vent hole just next to it. That's what we need. Fill it halfway up of brake fluid, and then just start pumping, and you'll actually see the air bubbles travel through the clear tube. Clear tube's ideal because you can actually see what's happening, and eventually all the bubbles will go straight into the bottle, and you will eventually not see any bubbles, and you'll have a harder brake, so that obviously clears the brake lines of any air. But yeah, the best way to do it, I actually, even if I have someone around, I still do it this way, just because it's just super simple and super easy. Make sure you check the master cylinder for fluid, because you don't want to run that dry, then you're back to square one, which is a pain in the ass. Okay. So, an update. Rear line has been tightened. It's a bit crusty. It was leaking. May have been a bit of an issue. It seems to be holding now, so that's good. There's no leaks. Master cylinder is bled. So what we'll do now, and the whole car is bled as well, so I've bled the brakes. Let's kick her in the guts, Barry, as they say. Okay, Mad Max. Sad, I know. we go. Ooh, beautiful. That's great. I actually haven't even had to pump that brake pedal, like as in like smash it, like I was saying, you know, like a quick hard hit. So you can see how that light just flashed on in start, and then in run mode it turns off. Let's try it again. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Let's check that brake pedal. The brake pedal feels good. Yeah, nice. Brake light doesn't come on, or the emergency brake light doesn't come on. Third time lucky. Oh mate, look at that. I'm stoked. Cool. So I'll keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't come on again in the near future. If it does, I will try that smashing that brake pedal a couple of times. I got that tip off Fortification, I think it's called. I don't know I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. The old school forum, which is just, you know, a godsend, right? That's where I read that, and look, you know, so far it's actually worked for me, all the tips on there. So I think the biggest thing was bleeding the master cylinder. That was the key to getting that light to stop illuminating. Failing that, like I said, smash that brake pedal. But first, and when I bled the brakes first, when I first got this truck and when I was going through the brakes, I didn't bleed the master cylinder. And I found that the light would sometimes be on and sometimes be off, and it was sort of, you know, not, well, obviously it wasn't done right. I should have bled that master cylinder. So do it properly, bleed the master cylinder first, then bleed the brakes, then check that light. It should turn off. If it doesn't turn off, smash that brake pedal a couple of times, see if that works. If it doesn't, then it may be a kit that you can actually buy. So you just basically, you can't, I think it's a discontinued part, that junction box. So if you do need to repair it or rebuild it, you can actually get a kit, which is essentially just a rubber seal and a couple of